Galnet News Digest, 21st of January 3306. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, new names for the witch's head, a nice cup of homeopathic tea, making a hot mess to cure mods. New names for the witch's head. The time has come. On the 1st of January, the Committee for the Celebration of Thexit, the elimination of Thargoids from human-occupied space, voted to rename 15 systems in the Witchhead sector in honour of the total defeat of the Thargoids, following 6 months without a single damaged station. The sector did unfortunately suffer from a minor flare-up of Thargoids on the 9th of January, but a prompt application of Preparation AXI seems to have sorted that, and the committee is keen not to let details get in the way of the celebrations. The new systems have been given appropriate names. Wellington is so called because we gave the boot to the Thargoids. Onerous reflects the heavy weight of responsibility of those responsible for driving out the Thargoids. Caister is named after a Roman fort full of soldiers who would have driven out the Thargoids if there'd been any. Haki is named after the New Zealand rugby team, and Suluo is named after the helmsman of the Starship Enterprise. Lembas is named after elven bread, and Ipison is named after the level of respect we have for the defeated Thargoids. Other new system names are Wisanye, Yuanjia, Shenvei, Evangelis, Balchower, Ronamar, and Jaralis. But the pièce de résistance is HIP 23759, which has been renamed with the same name it already had, to represent the way humankind's resolve remains constant, no matter what. The Committee for the Celebration of Thexit will complete the celebration by ringing a bell to declare for everyone that can hear it that once and for all the Witchhead sector has been declared free of Thargoids. Meanwhile, the Anti-Xeno Initiative has called for all available combat pilots to take their ships to the Witchhead sector to combat the non-existent Thargoids. A nice cup of homeopathic tea. Commanders throughout the galaxy were confronted by a strange stuttering effect from their shipboard computers when they jumped into new systems last week. It appeared that something was overloading the guidance and reconnaissance systems, which were unable to keep up with the processing demand, meaning that commanders were faced with juddering displays on their flight consoles. Boffins at the Pilots Federation were sent to find out what was causing this distressing condition. After significant analysis, the cause was finally identified. It turns out that someone had asked the Nutrimatics drinks machine in the Pilots Federation Frontier Canteen to make tea. Not the usual dusty powder in the bottom of a plastic beaker doused with tepid water, but proper tea. Tea made in a silver teapot on a summer lawn from Camellia sinensis leaves dried in the equatorial sun and carefully preserved. Tea made from just drawn spring water, freshly boiled to 98 degrees Celsius. Tea that can make everything right. But the person requesting this very special tea also requested that the tea should contain no tea, and that this tea should be homeopathic tea, instilled with the essence of tea without being tea. The Nutrimatics drinks dispenser appears to have been baffled by this request, and to have enlisted the distributed processing power of the computers in the ships of all the Pilots Federation members, wherever they were in the galaxy, using the oodles of power that peer-to-peer networking delivers. And it was this beverage-inspired search for the essence of tea, or the CT program, that brought the computers of the galaxy to a shuddering halt. The Pilots Federation is hunting in its ranks for the saboteur, whom it says is highly dangerous and likely to be clutching a mug of something that looks almost, but not entirely, unlike tea. Making a hot mess to cure mods. It is a truth universally acknowledged that everyone in the galaxy must be in want of a mug. This is not just because mugs are desirable, comforting and useful artefacts, but that they ward off the symptoms of the terrible disease Mug Ownership Deficiency Syndrome, or MODS. With reports of this disease spreading, the Hutton truckers are leading an initiative to deliver a prophylactic mug to every station in the galaxy that has a commodities market, and by thus vaccinating the human population to prevent an epidemic that might be every bit as terrible as the mycoid virus that decimated the Thargoid population in 3193. This is no minor undertaking. There are believed to be 53,326 stations, outposts and planetary bases in need of muggings, and mugs can only be obtained from the extremely remote outpost Hutton Orbital, that orbits the planet of Eden, that orbits the star of Proxima Centauri, that in turn orbits the binary stars of Alpha Centauri A and B at a rather standoffish distance of 0.21 light-years. And yet, within 6 days of starting, the truckers and all their helpers have already delivered mugs to more than 1/6 of eligible stations. In another 6 weeks or so, every station will have a mug of its very own. You can track progress at hot.forthemug.com. And the Hutton truckers? They do it for the mug. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.